Verbals. Verbals are verbs that act as other parts of speech. Learning about verbals will help you master sentence structure. Here are some examples of verbals.
Milton wants to eat cookies.
The predicate or action in this sentence is wanted. The subject or noun that takes the predicate is Milton. Milton wanted. Eat is a verb, but in this sentence it's not functioning as a verb. Milton is not eating. Milton is wanting. And to eat cookies is the thing that he wants.
Listening to music makes me happy.
Listening is a verb, but in this sentence it's not functioning as one. Makes is the predicate, and listening is the thing that makes the speaker happy.
The boys played for a cheering crowd in their minds.
The predicate in this sentence is played. The boys played. Cheering is being used as an adjective to describe the crowd. These are verbals. We're going to be looking at three types of verbals. The first, gerunds. Gerunds are the ing form of a verb, and they're acting as a noun. Here is an example of a gerund.
Calvin loves playing baseball.
So what is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's loves. Loves is the predicate. Calvin is the subject, the noun that takes the predicate. Calvin loves. So playing baseball is a verb, but in this sentence, it's functioning in terms of sentence structure as a noun. It's a thing that Calvin loves. Infinitives. Infinitives always start with to, followed by a verb, and they act as a noun or an adjective. Here's an example of an infinitive.
The delivery man was waiting to drop off the package.
What is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's was waiting. Verb phrase, was waiting. The delivery man was waiting. So the delivery man is the subject, was waiting is the predicate. To drop off is a thing that the delivery man was waiting for. So even though dropping off is a verb, in this case, it is functioning as a noun, the thing for which the delivery man was waiting. Participle. Participle is an ing or ed form of a verb, and it acts as an adjective. Here is an example.
The baby, tired from a long day of play, cried without end.
What is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's cried. The baby cried. Tired from a long day of play is a participle phrase that is describing the baby. Since we're talking about participles, now is a great time to mention the infamous dangling participle. A dangling participle is when you start a sentence with a participle that does not refer to the subject. Participles don't always have to refer to the subject, but when you start a sentence with one, they do. So avoid using dangling participles. They will create glaring errors in meaning. Here's an example of a dangling participle.
Steaming from the heat, the baseball player carefully sipped his hot cocoa.
Take a second and think about what this sentence is actually saying. Well, it's clear that the speaker meant to describe the hot cocoa, to say that the hot cocoa was steaming from heat, and that the baseball player carefully sipped it. But the way that this sentence is arranged, the participle describes the subject, in this case, the baseball player. So steaming from the heat is describing the baseball player. This sentence is saying that the baseball player was steaming from the heat, not the hot cocoa. So watch out for these. Beginning a sentence with a participle is a great way to add some description in your writing. So just remember, when you start a sentence with a participle phrase, it has to apply to the subject. Here are some more examples of verbals.
Polly was playing for a screaming crowd.
What is the verbal in this sentence, and what type of verbal is it? First, we should identify the predicate. In this case, was playing. Who was playing? Polly. Polly was playing. But we have an additional verb here, screaming. Screaming is not the predicate in this sentence. Rather, it is a verbal. And in this case, it's a participle. Participle is a verb that is acting as an adjective. Screaming is describing the crowd. So while screaming is a verb, in terms of sentence structure, in this sentence, it is functioning as an adjective. Here's another example of a verbal.
Sharkman wanted to fight a surfer. Arr!
What is the verbal in this sentence, and what type of verbal is it? Well, the predicate in this sentence is wanted. Sharkman wanted. To fight is a thing that Sharkman wants. Fighting is a verb, but to fight is an infinitive. A verb with to acting as a noun or an adjective, and in this case, it is acting as a noun. It is a thing that Sharkman wants. And here's one more example of a verbal.
Harvesting corn sure cheers up Farmer Brown.
What is the verbal in this sentence, and what type of verbal is it? Well, the predicate in this sentence is cheers. We ask ourselves, what cheers, to find the subject? And it's harvesting. Harvesting cheers. So harvesting is a verb, but in terms of sentence structure, in this sentence, harvesting is functioning as a noun, which makes it a gerund, an ing form of a verb that is acting as a noun. In review, verbals act as nouns or adjectives. They're still verbs, but in terms of sentence structure, they're functioning as other parts of speech. Participles act as adjectives. Participle is an ed or ing form of a verb acting as an adjective or describing a noun or pronoun. Gerunds act as nouns. The gerund is an ing form of a verb, and they always act as nouns. Infinitives usually act as nouns, and to form an infinitive we use the word to and a verb.